Let me bang. I do let you bang. Hey, let me bang you, James, man. I let you bang. I let you bang. Greetings, marriage and virgins.
Go for Jesus. No forget Jesus, people.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for your favorite mixed martial arts podcast. Recording out of Los Angeles, California, it's MMA Roasted with Adam Hunter.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Now we're cooking with gas.
What's up, people? Welcome to our brother MMA Roasted Podcast. I'm here with Greg Romero Wilson, waiting for McCorkle to join us. Hopefully he's back. You know,
We're not a very tech savvy group. I'll tell you this. We got big mouths. They're not very tech savvy.
100%. A lot of people have, great, their production is great, but the actual content sucks. We're all about the content, not
exactly
quality of the content, not the anyway. So, Greg, I got to ask you, man, like when you almost died, or you thought you might die.
No, I almost died. That's accurate. Survival rate's 12% for the Widowmaker.
12%?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you think man, did I do enough of this world, or did I leave enough legacy? Did I accomplish it? Did all that start going through your mind?
Yes, it was twofold. When I was in the hospital, I thought to myself, what have I done? What did I do with the time? And then I began to really kind of in my mind, I would go to different places on the map and I'd think of an amazing time I had there. And I realized there was almost nowhere that I could go that I couldn't see myself having a great time. And to that extent, I was like, well, I know exactly what I was doing. I was having a great time all over the world. So I can't be too mad at that. So that was the in the hospital thought. And then when I got home and I looked around my office and just looked at myself and I was like, is this it? Is that all I did? A lot of posters and I did a lot of shows and, I've been the headliner a bunch and, but at the end of the day, it seemed like I didn't do everything that I set out to do,
Yeah, that's I think about that. When I'm driving sometimes, if I get into a car accident, my biggest fear would be my daughter not having a father, that.
Which, speaking of which, so your wife's out of town. It was just you and the kid for how many days?
For a week.
And how much did you wish you could die during?
Dude, I loved it so much, but what was hard?
A full week. That's a lot.
Well, no, the hard part was she was on Easter break. So it wasn't like I could drop her at school for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then, I had literally, and she knows she's got me. She's like, oh, thank you, Bree. Thank you. She's like, my wife just walked in literally 2 minutes ago.
3 days.
Okay. So it was 3 days. I'm a big baby. That's what she said. So,
wait a minute. You made it sound like you were alone with her for 7 full days. That's what you just said.
It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was 4 full days. And okay. Most of Wednesday. So it was 5 days, but
I love the way it goes from 3 days to 4 days. So 5 days. So 5 days, basically 5 days. And then listen, here's how I know you're happy Breezo, because you put up that post on Instagram where you took your daughter to Disney on Ice. You're like, oh my God, I love being with my daughter during these past few days. And Brianna Rose comes home tomorrow. Oh, thank God.
Well, number one, I was absolutely when are you coming home? That's actually true. But also, when people start seeing all these posts of you with your daughter, people think you're divorced. I don't even think you're gonna I'm divorced. When I see someone not with their wife and they're just posting them and their kid over and over and over again, I'm always I don't want people thinking I'm I'm single, or whatever. Things aren't going all that right in the family. So I want to make sure that she knows. But yeah, we were absolutely, dude. You have no idea. These last, I think McCorkle, by the way, is trying to get on. He literally bought a new Mac just for the podcast. He's like, dude, I'm going to make my production so much better. I fucking love this show. We're going to go he goes, there's so much potential. So he buys a new computer and now he can't get on the new computer. Literally.
Yeah. He was like, how do I get this and I was like, just airdrop the link to your Mac, which, you know what, if you're used to doing it, it's a very obvious operation. It's very simple. But if you've never done it before, I mean, those words might not make any sense to you at all. And I feel like right now he's like, it doesn't show anyone to airdrop it.
Well, he waited till noon, till when we start, number one.
Right.
To ask us. And number two, I just like that he went out and bought a computer to make the show better, and now he's not even on the show.
Again, we're not the most technologically advanced users of this technology, but we have great commentary. We're great at the commentary.
McCorkle, now I can't see it all. So we're talking about you bought a computer to make yourself better for the show, and now
it is.
And now you can't get on the show at all. Like
no, yeah, I don't know what I'm not using the computer. Can you see me now or not?
Yeah, we can see you. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I kept losing my video, then lose my audio, then lose my video. So I just gave up and just used my phone again. So it'll be ghetto for one more.
I don't know that was your fault though, because Adam was having a lot of trouble with that audio at the very beginning, and he actually rebooted his system, and now it's fine. So that actually may not have been on your end there. Yeah. McCorkle. But anyways, who cares? We're up, we're running, let's talk some fights and have some fun.
Well, we'll talk about, dude, so a couple things first. Dude, this girl asked me to do this show, right? This girl always dressed like Marilyn Monroe, but like, she's like always in character. Hey, she's this girl named Brooke. You do my show, blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, she's like, it's going to be a 7-camera shoot, yada, yada. And then you get points, and it's on this new website. And I'm like, right away, there's like 3 contracts. None of it makes any sense. But I'm just like, I'm like, all right, as long as it only airs here, because I don't want to do the last thing where I basically signed a deal, and then next thing I know, I have an Amazon Prime special. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, no problem, right? Dude, I get there, right? I drive there, and the girl has a red carpet, right? And she attaches red carpets to her own shoes. So she's always on the red carpet, right? So like, and there's nobody else there, right? There's nobody there. And then everyone there has it's like an old 50-year-old, 70-year-old guy with a bad hairpiece. Like everyone has a hairpiece, and they're like, hey, why don't you do the Three Stooges on the red carpet with you and the other? I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, so that guy Gary was there. You know that guy Gary, nice guy that takes your course all the time. You know,
yes. Gary Robinson,
right? So he was there, right? So then the whole crowd is.
Well, he was probably providing the cameras. I mean, that's what he does. He's a shooter and he's a producer. So
the whole crowd is all cowboys from Victorville. Literally, they did a movie called Italian Cowboy, and this is their rap party. And Eric Roberts is there, right? Eric Roberts, his wife, and everyone and he was in the movie. All these cowboy people, right? So the host,
he's in every movie.
The host goes up there.
Again, if I can really quickly, Adam, when are you gonna learn? When are you gonna learn you don't have to say yes to everything? Please continue.
The host goes up there, and he's going and he starts rambling. He's like in a bad suit, bad mustache, like toupee's falling off him, right? He's reading the newspaper. And he gets everyone's name wrong. Everyone's name is wrong. Like, not even close, right? He's like, this
first guy get a newspaper.
Why does he have a newspaper, right? This guy, it would have been hilarious if it was a character. It would have been the funniest character I've ever seen, but it wasn't. He goes, this first guy, Jimmy Shin, he's got a special called the School of Walk. Get it? Walk because he's Chinese. Yeah, because dude, he butchers everyone's thing. And then while you're on stage, he's just walking around the crowd, like through all the cowboys. He's walking in and out for no fucking reason with the newspaper, right? So the guy's like bumping into tables. Dude, he brings out Eric Roberts, right? He brings out Eric Roberts, and Eric Roberts, he's like, yo, Eric Roberts, this is my movie, blah, 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 we're old friends. So Eric and his wife come out there, and they just sit there. But there's no reason for him to interview Eric Roberts, like in the middle of the show. And he's like, and Eric's like, yeah, everyone asked me to do comedy, but nah, I'm not doing it yet, right? So then Daryl Hammond's on next, right?
I'm glad he left the door open.
So then like Daryl Hammond's on next. Daryl Hammond is like he goes up there and he's mad. He doesn't want anyone filming him, right? Because right away they say it's gonna be a 7-camera shoot. It's 7 people with cell phones, right? Like that's the fucking.
Oh my God.
So Daryl Hammond talks about like writing a book while he was in like jail for like crack, and I'm pretty sure he relapsed before he went on stage. That's how bad the show was, dude. The host, people are getting off. The host isn't in the room.
Is this at Flappers? Was this at Flappers, or was this in Victorville?
No, it was close. I'm not saying the club, guys. So then the host isn't even in the room, right? The host isn't in the room. So people are just jumping off stage, on stage. Nobody know what's going on, right? Dude, I go on there. I'm like, this show's, it's a benefit. I'm like, this show needs a benefit. Right? Like, this is the worst fucking show. I go, it's like open casting for the guy from Toy Story. Why are there cowboys here? I did a couple hot chicks. I'm like, dude, I just shit on the whole fucking room, right? The whole thing. People are going crazy. Then like, at the end, I get off stage, my phone's dead, and someone's like, hey, you want me to take a picture with Eric Roberts? And I go, sure. He goes, not now. So Eric Roberts like stood me up for a picture, right? I didn't even want a picture. Somebody was like, take a picture with Eric Roberts, and he said no. So like, dude, I got stood up by Eric Roberts. It was fucking crazy. The whole thing was nuts. And then
Adam, before you go too far, did you say Daryl Hammond used to be in prison for selling crack? Did I imagine it?
Daryl Hammond had a crack problem, and he like
the Saturday Night Live, the guy that goes Trump, and he was in prison.
Yeah, he wrote a book from prison, and he just reads chapters of the book on stage.
Right.
But like it kind of. Like, and they're interesting, but it made no sense. Like the whole show made no fucking sense. The host was like, this guy shouldn't have been hosting anything. Like, and he directed the movie. I guess it's called The Italian Cowboy. Everyone in the crowd looked like they were all like extras from like some kind of Reno bus stop or something. It was insane. And then I had Scott Baio babysitting my daughter, right? Because I thought it was like a real thing. And then like the Improv called me. The Improv is like, hey, can you close out the night at Hollywood Improv, right? I'm like, sure. So I race down there, have a great set. I'm so fucking tired, getting up, for getting 3 hours of sleep. And Scott Baio's like, hey, you mind if we, because I like reach out, I'm like, hey, can you watch Violet Saturday night? The Baio's are the nicest people ever. And she loves it there. And they're like, great. And they're like, hey, do you mind?
He's got all that experience when he split family and raised those kids too. So.
Exactly. That's true.
Dude, they were like, do you mind if we take her to church? Right. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I am Jewish, but it's Easter. So, I was like, she never been to church before. So then there's like, they sent me a video of her holding my daughter at church. I said it to my dad right away. my dad just writes no words. It's like Passover. Like
yeah,
dude. But they got her so many like presents and like she was making them laugh because she was in the back of the car, and Scott Baio was like, hey man, turn on your headlights. And she's like, heads don't have lights. Like she's like making everyone laugh. So that was crazy. Oh, then while I'm on stage, there's this girl named, I think her name is Despina. She used to work at the Comedy Store, right? She used to have a naked podcast, right? Where she interviewed people naked. She was naked. The person was naked. I haven't seen this girl in years. So she comes up to me, right? And I was like, how's it going? And I'm trying to watch the fights while this crazy show's on. So I'm like, hey, Adam, I haven't seen you in years. How's it going? Blah, blah. I'm like, how's your naked podcast? She's like, oh, that's on hiatus. I have a new podcast now. I'm like, what's that? She's like, it's called Urine Good Health. I'm like, oh, what's it about? She's like, well, I now drink my urine. So she drinks her urine. She's like, yeah, it's healthy. I like bathe it and I like scrubbing it and I put it in my hair. I'm like, wow. I'm like, well, you do look healthy, And she's like, you see, you just said I looked hot. I'm like, well, piss warm. Like, so then I just kept making fucking urine jokes. I'm like, dude, you're in my space. So that was. But now when someone tells me that, all I kept thinking is that she smells like piss, like literally, right? So I fucking raced down to the Improv. Dude, I'm so fucking tired because that Saturday morning, I took my kid to an Easter egg hunt, right, in the park. And because Twinkle Time was performing. I don't even know Twinkle Time. It's like the Lady Gaga for 3-year-olds, right?
Okay, listen, if you're going to throw a softball to McCorkle, let's give him the time to go ahead and smack that one out of the park.
This guy's lost me at Twinkle Time. I'm so confused. I was actually still working on a joke that the Jews don't go to church on Easter Sunday, but they do Easter egg hunts. Like, I don't know, like something about murdering Jesus probably would make it a little tough to celebrate his resurrection, but I don't know. That's what I was working.
Dude, there's this Lady Gaga for 3-year-olds, right? She's called Twinkle Time. And it's like, dude, I'm with my kid and I'm like, so my he wants me to play Barbie with her for 7 hours. There's only so much Barbie I can play with her. Daddy. Right. So I'm like, I'm on all the LA mom websites, like things to do with your kid and Woodland Hills, anything to get me to like, it's called, redtricycle.com, anything that like, so there was a thing, Twinkle Time. So I found this girl, she put on this fucking like, she has like 6 albums. She wears a wig. She does all these like positive songs for little kids. So I go there with Glozell, Glozell.
Sure.
So me and her kid, and then her sister's name is Dionzel, and her kid's name is Ozel. right? So they're all there, and we're going to see Twinkle Time, and it's a petting zoo. So first, I go to get everyone smoothies, right? Fucking $10 smoothies each, right? So now I gotta buy everyone smoothies, $50. So I'm coming in with the smoothies. My daughter's crying. I'm like, what's the matter? She's like, I let my balloon go, right? She had a balloon. I told her, don't let it go. I tied on her wrist. Of course, she's hysterical. So I'm like, okay, we'll get you another balloon. I find a lady that has the balloons. I'm like, hey, do you have a pink balloon for her? She goes, yeah. So we grab a pink balloon. And this fucking lady's like, well, it's not really pink. It's more like, I'm like, it's pink. She's like, no, she's like, no, actually, it's kind of a light red. I'm like, it's fucking pink, right? So then they're having like, they're giving away rabbits, right? Like, but like, hey, we're auctioning off 72 rabbits. I'm like, I already have 3 fucking rabbits.
What circles are you hanging out in, man? You got people giving away rabbits. Lady Gaga.
I gotta tell you, when I think of Twinkle Time, this doesn't sound like a very twinkly time.
There was like 500 kids there, right? So they were giving away like stuffed animals. I thought they were gonna be real rabbits. I'm like, no. So I'm like, thank God, because I already have 3 fucking rabbits, and one of them's not fixed, and it's like the rape room back there. Like every time I go back there, like they're running from this fucking guy. It's $1,500 to fucking fix a rabbit now. It's called an exotic pet. So I have to like lie and say I make $200 a year to get on some list to get a fucking guy to do it for like $60. So anyway, fucking.
Do you ever think about just leaving the gate open on that thing? Yeah, kind of a problem solves itself situation. I'm kidding, of course. Never do that. This is just a joke. I love animals, and I would never want you to actually do that. Just a joke.
So they're auctioning off bunnies, right? And like fake stuffed animals, right?
Yeah.
So every kid, like there's like 72 bunnies, but there's 800 kids. So they keep this fucking annoying, like 40-year-old cougar Asian ladies, like, oh, we're giving away Mr. Wigglesworth to Steve, and like over and over, right? So of course these my kid and Ozil aren't getting bunnies. Some crazy lady. You ever see one of those like Venice ladies that like in their 50s or 60s that she has like a dog on her shoulder, like a little poodle. She's walking around with a dog on her shoulder, right? Like talking to her dog. And she's like, hey, kids, don't worry. I got you guys. She runs on stage and starts fucking stealing bunnies, like and people think she works there. So she comes back and gives us these like fucking posh bunnies. She goes, here, hide them, right? So now fucking Glozell and D are like, cut the tag. So they'll go, because now all of a sudden, like, they had to move the fucking bunnies, like, because they were like, we thought we were gonna get kicked out. Like, they're like, yeah, try to take away my bunny from like a little black girl. They'll fucking record that. It'll be all over. Anyways. So Twinkle Time.
Well, at least you taught the kids the most valuable lesson of all, which is you're going to steal something, cut the tags off.
Right.
So listen, that's the twinkle right there.
So Twinkle Time goes on, right? So my daughter and Glow and O and D are sitting in the front. All of a sudden, like, they're like, yo, it's time for Twinkle Time, right? And then like 500 kids rush to the front, like a mod. And then so we leave. I go to the back because I don't want my kids 3. The kids are more like 4 or 5, 6, 7. Glozell sits there, doesn't move. So she the whole time during the concert, she's in the middle of 500 dancing fucking kids. Like, and there's all these cameras taping it. You're gonna see like this black woman just sitting there like, I'm not fucking leaving. While these kids are just dancing around it. So so that was fucking crazy. Scott Bailey did a great job watching watching my baby, Scott and Renee. Thank you. I love you guys. They're the nicest people ever.
Did Buddy stop over while she was there, or do you not know?
Did who? No. Then last night we had Disney on Ice, which was a lot of fun. But as we were leaving, my daughter was like, "Let's go to another one." I'm like, "No." She's like, "I'm like, it's over. Like, everyone's going." She's like, "I'm sure we could find one." I'm like, "No, there's nothing. Just Princess."
I think she's going to be a comedian one day. I really do. That sounds like a comic. Like, come on, there's got to be another one. Let's go. I'm like, no, dude, party's over, dude.
I was like, I'll look on the computer where the next one is, right? So 7 o'clock in the morning, she jumps on me. Did you look on the computer? Yeah. I wake up like, I'm like, I'm not yet. Dude, she's asking me questions that like, literally, she's like, Dad, because like, she's watching, I don't know, some cartoon where the Daniel Tiger, where the mom had like a little baby. She goes, Daddy, how do babies come out of belly? How do women how do the babies come out? I don't want to be like, well, they come out of the vagina. She'll be looking at her vagina all fucking day for kids. Cause I don't want to them how they come in, you know? So I'm like, well, they cut the belly open. And they're like, how? I'm like, with an instrument, like well, like a doctor, like with a, what am I going
to? Like a chainsaw.
With a scissor. I'm like,
with the same thing they cut the tags off the bunnies for. Whatever.
She's like, well, then how do they get it back? I'm like, they stitch them up. Like I don't even know if like what, because I'm like, well, what am I going to say? Like, oh, they come out of the vagina and your mom got, you know.
I gotta say that stork idea seems a lot. Now it makes sense, doesn't it? They're like, why would you tell us that? Because it's easier than explaining a fucking vagina to a child.
Yeah.
Adam, did I tell you about when I explained the birds and the bees to my son?
No, what'd you say?
I'm pretty sure he just dipped him in bees and threw him to a bunch of birds.
Right. No, he's asking me like how it kind of works. I said, well, you know, like this is not politically correct. I said, like girls have girl parts, boys have boys parts. And even if you look at animals, like they kind of like a puzzle, they fit together. Like there's fish, there's, animals. I was trying to explain to him. He was really confused. And I was like, son, you're 14. Figure it out. No, not really. But he was young. So I tried to look up a video of like fish breeding or like seahorses or something not explicit. And I click on this thing when I was still using a desktop computer. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think of something.
They don't even have sex.
It's the only horse without a giant dick. But so it ends up being like it's this English video or British video talking about how things mate, like these different animals. All of a sudden, it is a squirrel giving it to another squirrel like nothing you've ever seen in your life. I mean, like railing this other squirrel. Like, I mean, the other squirrel looks like it's about to pass out, sitting there like just taking it. And I'm trying to hit click to get it to stop. It will not stop. It just freezes on the computer. It's just like, bam, bam. And his face is horrified. He's like, that's what people do? Like, just sitting there looking like that. And I was like, dude, it was horrific. It was like the most violent squirrel fucking I ever saw in my life. That's what I've seen a lot of.
When I went to Africa, right? I get off the plane in Africa. I'm in Africa. I get off the airplane to Djibouti, Africa for the military. And I see a cat like right by there. And it's like, making the most fucking awful noise. I'm like, huh? Another cat just comes behind and just starts railing this fucking like, dude, like it looks so painful. It was like the first, I still can't get that image out of my head of just like, it was nuts. It was Greg Fry, how did you explain the birds and bees to your kid?
The first thing I did is that I just took him down to the local strip club and I said, here, daddy's going to pay $20 to teach you a lesson. You got to tip him an extra 20 to go in the VIP with a minor. But it's okay. I'm on the holding out. He learned his lesson.
Well, that sounds like a good, it sounds good. I like it. Dude, it's just, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was my weekend, man. How was your Easter, McCorkle?
I didn't realize it was Easter until like you said it. So I guess yesterday was Easter. But I shot 2 Canadian geese.
Crossing the border?
Yeah, no, I wasn't hunting. I just looked out my front yard. Canadian geese I hear are real invasive. I don't know if that's true or not. But I built that pond out front of my house and I saw my $10,000 dogs eating some Canadian geese shit, which can kill them. They can get like different diseases and stuff from them. I guess they got, unlike your friend that drinks her own urine, most things that come out of bodies are not to be put back in.
Right.
My dogs were eating and I can't have my dogs dying. So, my girlfriend's like, how are you going to get rid of those or whatever? So I'll get rid of them. I went out and I shot them. So
is it your fiance, by the way?
Yeah, fiance. I'm sorry. That's the classier way of saying it. I don't speak French. So.
All right, let's talk about some fights. So did you guys watch Bellator at all?
I did actually. Shockingly, how our technology listens to us and then they hand us all kinds of commercials and stuff that you want. Apparently, it heard me say that I actually wanted to watch Bellator because magically Showtime had a free weekend.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny because having had Showtime for the weekend, it made me realize that I do not want Showtime.
Exactly.
But like it confirmed it. Like whatever, if I'd been wondering whether now I know, yeah, it's garbage. But they did have the fight, so I did get a chance to watch those fights. And I, for one, did not think Pitbull did enough to take the title from AJ McKee. I mean, his surprise was my surprise, especially the way he was scored too, as if Pitbull had pretty much won 4 out of 5 rounds. I was flabbergasted.
I agree. I think that they didn't like his attitude. I think it was
like so McKee lost.
Yeah, McKee lost.
I had no idea. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, he lost. I thought he won the first round. He lost the second.
Yes.
He lost the third, won the fourth, won the fifth.
Yes, exactly.
But he almost got, and you know what? He was in a guillotine that I would say 99% of fighters would have tapped to, because he almost went out and he showed exceptional heart. I think that he was started feeling himself. He came out with that rapper, OT Genesis, that sings, "I'm in love with the cocoa." You know, the guy that said, "I'm in love with the cocoa."
No.
Well, we know now. Thank you for the clarification. I've always wondered who sings that song. Whoa, what was that?
What?
Hold on a second. I think there's a major news story, man.
What?
Oh, okay. I thought it said Cristiano Ronaldo had died. So, but he did not. And sadly, his son has died.
Fuck.
So yeah, that's tragic. Him and his. So, anyways, but I thought originally when it came across, I was like, I thought maybe it said him and his partner, and then I saw died, and I'm like, oh my god, what? That, you know, so not great news, but also not the earth-shattering news that I for one second thought it was. Back to what we were talking about. AJ McKee.
You know, it's funny. It's crazy because there was an old time that Roy Jones came out with Method Man and Redman, and back when and he walked out with them, and they were like. It was awesome. It was a Radio City Music Hall, and they were all dancing to the ring. And I'm like, and Larry Merchant was like mad about it. He's like, there was the Rockettes, now we have the Rapettes. You know, like he was all angry about it, right? But it was, and I'm like, man, I wish more MMA guys would do that. And then when this happened, I'm like, oh, okay, no, I can see why they don't do that. This is kind of dumb.
Didn't Floyd Mayweather did that one time with like 50 Cent or something like that?
Yeah, it never. You can never.
Justin Bieber, wasn't it?
You can never hear the rapper.
Is that what it was?
I don't remember. Never good enough to actually see the performance, and
it never works out. It looks good on paper, but it never comes off very good.
It was good in Rocky IV. Remember when James Brown came out with Apollo, and then he got
but he did a whole show. I mean, it wasn't like.
Then he died like a minute later. And Rocky could have thrown the towel and saved his life. Like that was the even craziest part. Like the guilt that Rocky must have felt for not throwing the towel. Anyway,
although they forget to tell you that movie, the referee did try to stop the fight. If you watch it, and Drago pushed him back and away, and then he continued to let the fight go. Like if you watch it, the ref jumps in to stop it. Drago pushes him.
That's true.
And the ref goes, but he goes back to reffing. Like, oh, okay, he's all right, and then keeps going.
Yeah, he throws him, completely throws.
The best part was at Apollo's funeral when Rocky was like saying he always did things the way you wanted to do. Yeah, except he took the fight you told him to not take. He didn't postpone it when you told him that before the fight we should postpone it. He told him he wanted to stop it between rounds. He said, "Don't stop this no matter what." But he always did things the way you wanted to do it, Rocky.
But dude,
and that has been another minute in the McCorkle court.
and there were never any counts. Anytime anyone got knocked down, they never went one. They were never counted to 10 in any of the Rocky movies. The guy just got knocked down and then just kept fighting every single time.
He just popped right back up and start swinging.
And then in Rocky IV, they said no sparring. Like literally did not spar one round for the Russian. Like he had nobody in his training camp except for two KGB members that were following up the fucking hill every day. Right. And he was like losing.
Yeah.
And then he said, no, Paul, he's like, no sparring. He's like, I don't think I need it anymore. Like, Paul, which made no sense. Well, like, you know how, seriously.
I believe
not to give you the whole thing. But think about Rocky. He's with Mick for what? 7 or 8 years. Mick's not trained him. Then he goes on, wins the title, spends 10 title defenses with him, loses to Clubber Lang, and then has to go to train with Apollo Creed. And Apollo can't believe that he doesn't know shit about boxing. Like he doesn't know how to shadow box. He doesn't know anything. Like Apollo's like, dude, what the hell is with this dude? Like it's 10 years with Mick, he knows nothing. And
he beat him twice.
Right. Yeah. And knowing nothing. Like how bad's Apollo feel? He's a better athlete, better skilled, knows more. And Rocky somehow beat him with just sheer tyranny of will.
Yeah. I love that. My favorite line though is when he goes, so can he swim? And he goes, with a name like Rock?
Yeah. My favorite part's where he date raped the slow girl at the pet shop and no one ever brought it up later. Like,
well, okay.
Or how about this? You remember
although that scene is that scene, you go back and watch that scene from Rocky, the original Rocky, and it is wildly uncomfortable to watch now because it's like, no, you can stay. No, you're not going nowhere.
Like, I want to go home.
No, it's all right. It's all right. You know, and then he's like, you're not going anywhere. It's like
I like how the mafia guy's henchman tells her, take her to the zoo. I hear retard love the zoo. He keeps saying that.
And then he asks her to marry her.
Yeah. And he proposes to her at the zoo.
At the very beginning of Rocky too.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing. I'm like, did the guy tell him retards like the zoo? Like, he was so mean. And then he took her to the zoo.
I don't do it. And then they were all ashamed of Rocky 5. Like, again, Rocky 6, they don't even they do all the flashbacks except for the Rocky 5 when he fights.
Right.
Like
that never happened.
And Tommy Morrison gets AIDS, and then, didn't even. It's just, the whole thing was crazy.
Which, by the way, I think Stallone actually had a heart attack shooting for when he was doing the snow scenes, pulling the sled or whatever. I believe he suffered a minor heart attack doing that. They had to stop production for a few weeks over that.
That's crazy. So anyway, Bellator fights. I felt bad for Corey Anderson because you watch it, Sean. So he's gonna.
No, I literally didn't even know it was on. Literally, had no idea.
So they're fighting for $1 million against Nemkov, right? And Anderson's winning.
Oh yeah,
like beating him, like dominating in the second and third. He's about to win $1 million. Then he headbutts him like from the top. Just boom, opens up a huge gash, and then it goes to a no contest. Like, so now that no one gets the $1 million, then he's like, then he starts complaining, like as if he didn't fucking headbutt him.
That's awesome. He cost them both $1 million. Like even the other guy didn't have a chance to get it, like by winning. That's great.
It was crazy. So that was that. I felt bad for Tim Johnson because he was like, he's the guy that went like 0-3 in the UFC, and then he went like 0-2 in Bellator. Then he won 3 in a row in Bellator, and now he lost. He had Linton Bissell hurt, and then like he came in with like another headbutt, kind of came in for the kill, and then got beat. And then Aaron,
I always love hearing about guys that go 0-5 or 1-7 in the UFC, and then I go in, I beat Mark Hunt first one, lose to Stefan Struve, who's top 10, 15 at the time, lose to Christian Moorcraft, and they won't talk to me ever again.
Yeah,
bringing you back. I won 6 in a row. After they cut me, I won 6 in a row all in the first round. Nope, not interested. Beat Pujanowski, not interested. Like, it's just like, all right, dude, I don't know.
I feel like now they would, though. Like if you, because they weren't having fights every week then.
Right.
You know,
Joe Silva did tell me one time privately that the risk wasn't worth the reward with me.
Really?
And I was like, what's that? He said, well, we don't think you're ever going to be the heavyweight champ. And you say stuff so offensive, you could get us in trouble every weekend. He said so. I was like, all right, well, it's part of it.
Welcome to MMA Roasted.
You watch the UFC fights?
I didn't know they had UFC fights on. Yeah. So.
By the way, Greg, there was a debate on whether or not you got a heart. People are like, he says exercising was why he had a heart attack. And some people said, no, it was the shot. It was the vaccine, the booster shot.
Right. Yeah. Just think how bad his heart attack would have been if he hadn't been vaccinated.
And then other people were like, I could see if he was doing like a 15-mile, like fucking Tough Mudder. He goes, but he took 3 beginning classes at fucking great Hollywood BJJ or something. Like, dude, it's like, it wasn't the 50 years of partying. It was the 3.
No. I freely admit it is because it wasn't that. That's just what triggered it. It was my lifestyle that caused it.
Right.
You know, something would have triggered it one way or another. Who knows what it could have been? But it just happened to have happened because of that class. But that's what triggered. Yeah, it was definitely the life. It was 32 years of bad decisions that equaled one heart attack. That wasn't, it wasn't because of and I even told them that. I was like, look, I can't, cancel my membership. Not your fault. I don't blame you guys. Great program. Love it. Not your fault. Not going to sue you. Has nothing to do with you guys. It's me and the choices I made leading up to this for 30 some odd years.
So. It's so funny because some people say like Bjj saved my life. It might have actually saved your life by giving you a heart attack because now you're going to live differently.
That's some bad math. I'm not gonna say that's necessarily, because who knows? Maybe it would have never happened if they had, chances are something would have triggered it. It just was. There was nothing else in my life where I was as physically trained as I was from that class. So maybe I could have avoided it. Who knows? But believe me, it wasn't their fault. It was certainly my own choices that created that situation.
Well, in the UFC, Sean, the main event was Bilal Muhammad. He beat Vicente Luque.
Called it.
And it was a good, solid fight. Muhammad looked great, man. And he's like, dude, I thought that, he's a guy we've had on the show before. Really, really nice guy. Went to law school, smart dude, like dropped out of law school. Parents were like mad. He's like, I'm going to become a pro fighter. And then, got off kind of a rough start at the beginning, lost to Alan Jabon, lost a couple of guys. Dude's like top 5 now. I mean, he's beating like Stephen Thompson. He's beating Vicente Luque. And he's doing it like he's you can tell he works his ass off, but also he's being like smarter. Like he realized this guy can't stop my takedowns, so I'm going to keep going for the takedown. Like he's just.
I think that was the thing, and that I couldn't really articulate last week because we got to it at the very end, and I was completely out of energy and needed, But the thing, and I really honed in the thought when I watched it is, Bilal Muhammad will fight any kind of fight.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of fight he needs to fight to win that fight is the fight he's going to do. If he's got to take to the ground, take to the ground. If he's got to stay on his feet. If he's got to use his feet. If he's got to use his fists. If he's got to use whatever he's got to do. He's very versatile that way.
Yeah.
And very willing to make changes, during the fight. And I think that's what I really like about it.
He's a good dude. He came to my show and he was, he's Palestinian descent, and very, pre-Palestine, he's a post and that stuff. And he was sitting right across from Natan Levy, who's from Israel. Mm. So I was like, you guys are going to be okay, right? I know there's thousands of and they were both dying laughing. Like they were both I'm like, no rock throwing, please, no missiles back. I kept going at it, I'm like, if he says 3-2, and he was laughing, great sport, and like, it's a good dude, man. Really good dude. What's up, people? Football might be over for the season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Now head over to their website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code CLNS50 to get started. It's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage. And it's the best in the business, okay? From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Listen, the thing about him, though, he's one of those guys that has like two different eyes. And you kind of look at him like, is one of those a glass eye? I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I think he's just got like two different shaped eyes. But I mean, I really just spent part of the time going, should you not hit one of those eyes? I don't know what's going on. And although I loved his call out at the end when he was calling him Karen Covington. I was like, there we go. Shoving a little bit back. I love it. That's spicy. I hope that happens.
Well, I mean, I think he has a point in that when Colby called out Dustin Poirier, it's like, bro, I don't understand what the upside is for that. You're beating a guy who fights at 55 and you're a 70 pounder. I know that like technically he may be bigger than you in the gym and then he cuts more weight than you, but I don't see why like you're right there. It doesn't get you any further. I don't know. Maybe he didn't, maybe he's going for I don't know what it is, but I think he has a point where maybe I think Colby missed. I think that was a mistake by him. I also think he mistook the interest in that fight. I mean, people wouldn't really, they'll watch it, but no one's going to be like, ooh, who's going to win, Poirier or Covington, It
might have been a case, too, where he whipped his ass in the gym and he knows how it'll go in a fight. It's like, dude, people say what they want. Conor McGregor, remember when he wanted to do his season or whatever it was? Or maybe it was cocaine he wanted to do. He wanted to do something, but no, he wanted to do a season where he wanted to fight. I don't know who it was. And then he wanted to fight Diego Sanchez after that as an easy one than someone else. And people are like, why would you call it Diego Sanchez? I'm like, because he knows he'll win really easy and can get $20 million. Like, that's why. Like, I would like to, I don't know, man. I guess I'm not a purist or whatever. I wouldn't mind the way Pride used to do it. They would build toward the year-end event. So they would have Fedor would fight some giant Zulu guy, like whatever that dude's name was, or some like Hongman Choi. They would kind of build fighters up and get them on a 4 or 5 fight win streak against guys they'll beat, and then have them fight like a Super Bowl at the end. It's like UFC. It's always best versus best versus best every event, which you get to see good fights, but it wouldn't be bad to have a guy build up every now and then and not always trying to get someone beat, Like,
yeah, well, I mean, I can see it both ways. I think you're right in like some ways, but I also think that But I think that was a real smart move by like Bilal, because he called out a guy that he'd be the underdog against versus the guy. Yeah. You call out a guy you'll be the favorite against. I think it.
Yeah, anyway. It's like, all right, pick an easier one,
So then there was a
that was lucky for me. I was never the favorite, so I could call out anybody. So, was always,
You're our favorite.
You're our favorite. Yeah. So Sean, so there's another guy, right? So this guy that was 13-0, Omar Gadzaev, right? He fought this guy, and I'm butchering it, Cal Barajo, right? And this guy Barajo looked amazing. Like he this other guy, they were saying 13-0. He's but this dude Barajo was like beating him everywhere. And then it's against the fence. The guy has like an arm down. Like you could just see his arms are on the ground. And he just kneed him in the face. I mean, just straight up, he's up 2 rounds to nothing. And then, right, they're like, well, and it happened earlier on, right? So then the guy's sitting on the stool, like, what the fuck just happened? And he takes a selfie with him. Look, he goes in the picture and he's like this while the guy's on the stool, like, it was the weirdest shit.
Wait, after the fight, you mean, or between rounds, or what? Oh,
well, had they called it at that point?
They announced him the winner. They announced the guy Barajo the winner because it was an unintentional foul. So they're like, if it was intentional, like they would have given it to like with Aljamain, like Aljamain beat Peter Yan. When Yan need him, it goes to Aljamain because it was an unintentional.
Wait, so he unintentionally fouled him and then he still won? It wasn't a contest?
Yeah. For the second time that night that happened.
Yeah, they went to some kind of they went to the cards for a technical decision or something because I guess they felt it had gone far enough in the fight that they could render a decision.
Dude, it was crazy.
Oh, I thought you couldn't win on a foul like that.
Apparently, it's up to the ref.
Yeah. So that was, which of course Dominic Cruz and then Cormier are like arguing about because Cormier is like, well then, if you're up 2 rounds now, just unintentionally foul the guy and then you'll win every single time. Like there's no point of even, dude. It was like, look, this was the picture, dude. Sean, see, like,
yeah.
Well, I think he was trying to say that I think he was trying to act like, hey, he's a good sport, right? You're a good sport, right? And the other guy was not having it. He was like, fuck your mother. Like, he was not cool. And the funniest thing about this is usually when you have one guy who's all bouncy and happy and let's fight, that guy usually gets murked by the guy, who's like, I will kill you. But in this case, I mean, he dominated that guy. And then he's trying to be all chummy with him, like, it's cool though, right? It's cool. And he's like, nothing is cool, so
maybe his corner told him to go get a picture with that guy on Queer Street, and he took a picture with him, but his trainer meant Dominic Cruz.
Thank you.
There we go. And this is another McCorkle moment.
You're welcome.
By the way, Dominic Cruz was in a really good mood. He was like, I'm telling you, hang out. He's a really funny guy, especially when he's like.
Did you just say he's a funny boy?
He's hilarious. He happens to be hilarious. But yeah, so and I heard he got a second dog or something, so he's like in like a better mood or something. But anyway,
what did you just say?
Yeah, it's not what I thought you said.
I'm sure it's not what I thought I heard.
He got a second dog. I know he had a dog. He loves his dog. He's always with his dog, and he got a second one. He was happier. He's like,
oh my God, you're saying second dog?
Yeah.
Because it sounds okay. Honestly, it sounded like you said he got caught sucking dog.
I literally thought that's what he said.
No, he got a second dog.
Thank you very much. Because I'm like, what did you just say?
He got a second.
And it took you. And even when you clarified, I heard it then too. You need to learn how to pronounce the word second. That's what you need.
Got a second dog. Yeah.
Second.
Got it. Thank you. All right.
So it sounded like sucking dog real hard.
He was not sucking a dog. All right. So
and I wasn't, and that's why I made him repeat it. You heard it too, McCorkle. The second time it sounded even more like sucking a dog.
Yeah.
So then,
oh my God.
So then, like McCorkle, then this other guy, Andre Fialho, right, against Bjj. I feel bad for this guy Bjj because he's now lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. The guy is got all the talent in the world. I mean, his skill level is a 10, but I don't know if he has doesn't have a chin, or if the other guys are just hitting that hard, or he's just getting caught by in ridiculous shots. This is like the second time he got knocked out, maybe the second or third, but he was murdering this fucking dude, like Fialho. And then when there was 20 seconds left, 20 seconds in the round, uppercut, put him out. And then, oh man, I don't know. What do you do with a guy like that? What do you say?
That's it's reminding me of Aaron Pico. If you watch Aaron Pico's losses, he was dominating, fighting perfectly, man. Sharp striking, great grappling. I always thought I was one of those guys who my face and chin were just magnets for punches. You know what I mean? You could throw anything at me and I would move into it. I would block it with my face. It was always something like that, catching with my jaw like that. I think some guys are just like that, man. They just, I don't know.
But how do you, you have to like in boxing, there's one thing, like Emmanuel Stewart, like I remember Klitschko kept getting knocked out.
Yeah.
And Stewart was just a great coach because he would be like, okay, here's what we did with Lennox Lewis. Like hang on the guy for 9 rounds, like bend him over basically and just put all your weight on him. And then eventually and jab him to death. He had a perfect way for these tall guys to like who had shins weren't that great. And MMA is a lot different, It's like because there's so many ways to get caught. But man, I hope UFC doesn't cut him because he's that good. He just keeps getting like.
Well,
sometimes it's just a little.
The commentators spent 4 minutes talking about, well, this is the fight he needed. Get his confidence back. Look at him dominating. He's doing so great. This is the way he was at the very beginning, and then pop. Good night.
Oh yeah, dude, it's crazy. But then this other
Cruz
girl
was saying the same thing. Cruz was saying, yeah, he should have did like Emmanuel Stewart and tell him to bend him over. And
dude, there was a girl named Mara.
I knew you were going there. I knew it. Bend him over, put all your weight on him. That's all night long.
As I was saying it, I'm like, I could just see it in McCorkle's eye.
I was trying to cut it off at the pass. And he was like, I'll wait for Greg to finish talking to make this gay joke.
This girl Mayra Bueno Silva. She's if you're from Brazil and your name is Good Silva, like, the chance you're gonna be a fucking badass fighter. She went this girl Wu Yanan, who I think she's from China, and the girl can take a punch. Holy shit! Because she was getting this shit beaten out of her, and it was one of those fights where you're wondering if she's gonna eventually just catch the girl. Like it became like Rudy, but in the Chinese version of Rudy. And she by the way, I think she had implants, by the way, Greg, because she was bouncing. They were like, her boobs are bouncing up and down in the beginning. So anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think she was awfully large for a fighter girl. I was like, whoa, I was carrying around some weight. So,
but she could take a punch, this girl, and she just got beat 30-27. I know she won 1 round, but man, it was one of those fights where you're like wondering if the other person she's gonna get punch herself out, but she didn't. And then this guy,
I'm looking at it right now, and it says it was fight of the night, and that is absolutely not what I would have considered a fight of the night. I mean, I honestly kind of fell asleep in the middle because it was just one girl beating up the other girl, but just not hitting her hard enough to put her out. Like, I don't know. I find that surprising that was their choice for fight of the night.
Yeah, the other fight, there was a fight, Manir Lazaz against Angaluza.
That was the fight of the night. That was just in the as they say, fighting in an elevator kind of a thing. Yeah. Like they were for all 3 rounds. I was that to me was that I loved that. I was like, this main card's fucking hot. That was a hell of an opener fight.
And it was a 30-27, but they were all close rounds. Like they could have been. I'll tell you one thing. We had Devin Clark on the podcast before. Nice guy. Dude, he fought this guy, William Knight, who used to be a 205 pounder.
Right.
I
saw that.
Squat 650 pounds. He said he could bench 520. But throws like 3 punches around. Like pick a sport. Bodybuilding and MMA, I feel like are not conducive because, and he got knocked out by Devin Clark, like first elbowed and then by who's a guy who's 205er. He just, William Knight, if I was his coach, I'd be like, no more weight room. No more, because you're carrying too much weight. And then I saw a couple other fights. The fight that your boy Chris Barnett, he lost. But to a guy named Martin Boudet, who's just a monster. But he was also winning and then landed a illegal punch, but still got the win because he was up 2 rounds.
Can we go back to this Devin Clark William Knight fight real quick? Because the thing about that fight is it's a classic example of I hate it when heavyweights wrestle. Heavyweights are in there to bang each other's lights out because inevitably only one of them knows how to wrestle. And they just lay on top of the other dude for 5 fucking minutes, and it's annoying as shit. I fucking hate it when heavyweights wrestle. I'm glad he finally stood up and got knocked out proper. So
McCorkle, there's this guy named Jordan Leaving, right? Who people say, I know I think he has a wife and kid. Other people were saying other things.
Like Cruz at every wedding.
But this is after This is what happened after he won his fight.
He won a split decision all the way to the flow,
and then
he comes up into. I mean,
shoot,
come on, that looked like Cruz. That looked like Cruz at every wedding he attends. So Jordan Levitt, he dropped it down low all the way to the flow.
Was Daniel Cormier calling Cruz gay also?
Come on.
What it sound like to me?
That looked like Cruz at every wedding he attends.
Yeah, so that happened on the telecast.
Oh God,
that was another McCorkle.
Did you notice Cruz had nothing to say? It was like he was spellbound during that part.
No. At the end, he's like, "Oh yeah, look at that." I mean, he was spellbound. He sounded like he was very intrigued.
Dude, sounded like he was thinking about sucking a dog.
Oh my God.
He went from that. It went from the guy twerking in the octagon to which fighters even were like, one guy wrote like, if somebody twerks after he beats me, we're fighting later that night. Like, it's not going to be the only fight. It went from
not only that, but it was a split decision. I mean, come on. It's not like he even dominated it. Hardly.
Was it a split decision because he did the splits? Is that what
it literally went from that to the guy Chris Burnett like dancing like rerun like right after that was the next fight, and you're like, what the fuck is going on with the UFC right now? It went from like that to him walking out like, it was hilarious.
So Barnett got fouled and then lost. Again. So he also lost even though it was an illegal blow.
Yes, second time it happened. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Jake Paul and Bisping are talking shit on Twitter to each other. And then he actually made like a whole video of it. Jake Paul did. He goes, so I guess Oscar De La Hoya said that he thinks that Jake Paul is going to be a world champion boxer one day, right?
Right.
And then Bisping commented.
Thank you. That was the appropriate response, McCorkle. I love that they're dead eyed, just like, yeah, right, okay.
And so then he goes. I guess something happened where Jake Paul says, "I would knock you out worse than Hendo. You're an easy fight. Show me you can get licensed, and I will show you $1 million plus pay-per-view." Using the two eyes, using this emoji because Bisping can't use it. LOL. Right. And then Bisping writes back, yeah, haha, 2 eyes. Listen, 1 eye, 2 eyes. I want a world championship. More importantly, the respect of the whole fight community. Sadly, little Jakey, there's 2 things you'll never do ever. Let that sink in, right? So now they're going back and forth. I hope Bisping does not take this fight because he's 43. He does have 1 eye. He's not been boxing. It's not like a prime Bisping versus a prime Jake Paul. I think obviously a prime Bisping murders Jake Paul in any sport. But right now, 43-year-old Bisping with 1 eye and a hip replacement, and the other guy's been boxing all the way through.
You realize the world we live in? You just like, this is the world we're living in. A guy with 1 eye and a hip replacement is talking about fighting a YouTuber. Like what is going on, man?
For more money than everybody in the UFC.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, do you think he should take the fight, Sean?
I can't imagine they would license it anywhere, but maybe like Japan or somewhere where there's no commission. Like I can't imagine anybody would license. I still have a hard time believing Bisping fought with a fake eye. How many ever fights he did? Like I don't know if that's true. I mean, they say it is.
He told me what he would do. He said he would have his corner, his cornerman. I think Perillo would or whoever it was would be in the corner, and the doctor would be like, "All right, how many fingers am I holding up?" And he would cough if it was 1. He would yawn if it was 2, and he would sneeze if it was 3. So then Visit would pass a lot of the tests that way.
That's, I don't know, man. That just sounds a little weird to me. The whole thing. I don't know that you can get away with that.
Would suck if he had an allergy that day or something, or if he was actually tired.
How many fingers I hold up? 17. You got no idea.
Yeah, no kidding. What if he coughed and then sneezed and then yawned? And he's trying to do the math. He's like, 7.
So yeah.
What if his eye got knocked out? Can you imagine during one of those fights if his eye had gotten knocked out? And they didn't know it was a fake eye? Can you imagine that would have been the craziest?
I
don't know.
Like Bisping's a good friend of mine. We worked together a lot in the past. He's a really good guy. And I just, for him to be like, to pass up on him, he might think like $2 million. He might call up Tyron and be like, how much money do you make, honestly? And Tyron might say like for $2 million. He might go, $2 million.
Yeah, but again, it's this throwing, not making him take a real fight. Jake, everyone needs to not fight this guy until he fights an actual boxer from his weight class in a real sanctioned fight, where he has to prove he's not on steroids. And, the whole thing. Until then, it's all just, you're perpetuating this fantasy. It's horrible.
Did I ever tell you what happened with the story about Tyson and the monks that were running? Play that story, right, Sean?
I don't think so.
Oh, so like Tyson before his last fight, like Roy Jones, I was hanging out with the guy that was working for him. And he said, he was like on all kinds of, help for that fight.
Right. Yeah, obviously.
And, and you could see like there wasn't, so they said he was like, he like went off it and he was going through some stuff like, emotionally, like when you go on and off, I don't know if I guess you go. So the guy says he gets a phone call and he was doing ayahuasca with like 20 monks. And all of a sudden he had like a terrible experience and they wanted to kill him. So he said, the guy gets a call, like, you have to pick up Mike right now. He's in Malibu at the canyons and there's 20 monks running for their lives. And he's chasing them and he's walking like a fucking Terminator, right? So and this guy tells me that he like drives up to Malibu and he sees like 20 shamans like running down the fucking hill and Tyson, and he's with Tyson's wife or something, and they're like, calm down. They calmed him down and he was all right. But like,
oh, God. Listen, it's like the beginning of every black belt theater movie I watched on Sunday afternoons when I was a kid. A bunch of monks running from a monster. It's beating them up. Crazy, man.
Can you imagine like you're in traffic?
Monks you gotta blame the monks for this one. I mean, what made them think, hey, this is a guy who we really want to unlock?
It turns out, I always have been a strong believer, and you can't mix crazy with steroids, but or cocaine, but you can't also apparently mix crazy with steroids and then ayahuasca. Like those three together, probably not the best. Throw in a few monks and you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
So.
But this guy told
By the way, can we talk about the Drakkar Close fight?
That's the only one I didn't see. What happened? What happened? I know.
Oh my God, you didn't see the Drakkar? That's the one you missed?
Yeah. Well,
okay. So let me, first of all, one of them won Performance of the Night. You would think it's for Drakkar Close, but I think it's for Brandon Jenkins' face.
Oh, really?
You've never seen somebody catch so many right hands to the face and just act like and just shake it off. I mean, I was just shake it off and be like, let's keep fighting. Like, I mean, I think he took over 50 in the first round and returned maybe 3. How he made it to the second round is a mystery. And then finally he was able to turn the lights out in the second. I'm
pretty sure these guys are from like Alabama. Like, it's like when they spar, it's like no glove sparring.
Yeah. Like I was like, either this guy is like part, machine, or he had a really tough stepdad, you know what I mean? To where it doesn't matter how many times you hit him, how many hard you hit him, but he just like cool and just kept on coming. And I'm like, I don't know who got the Performance of the Night. Probably Drakkar Close, but Brandon Jenkins' face. Wow.
Yeah. That's the one I got to watch that. I happen to like Drakkar a lot. And I always thought he was an underrated guy. And he was a stud in college. And he's just a great fighter, great wrestler, but he just like his back is still fucked up from what's his name pushing him, Jeremy Stevens at the weigh-in. Remember they had a face-off and Stevens jumped him and they called off the fight and people were like, oh, what a pussy. And they're like, but then Sean, you even said the guy's drained, he just made weight, he's not expecting it. The other guy, is Jeremy Stevens is a monster. Who knows what? I mean, maybe I don't think Drakar's gonna fake an injury. He's not the kind of guy to like fake anything. Like he's a tough.
I'm surprised they didn't go ahead and give Stevens the win with apparently the new stuff they're doing as well. He was winning up till the push came. So it, they said Drakkar. They said his fight stunk, but to me it smelled like my senior year in high school.
Drakkar, yes, of course. I thought that. It'll be kind of funny. Remember, like in the NWO days, you ever watch WWE?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like they'd have these guys would have a real wrestling match. They put like these guys you never heard of. It'd be like Iron Mike, whatever, blah, blah. And then halfway through their match, then you hear NWO. And then all of a sudden, these guys would come in and just throw them both out.
Right.
Just take
or beat him up and spray paint NWO on him in the ring and just leave and leave him there.
Microphone and have like a press conference, like for no reason. That's what they should do in MMA. If like it's a shitty fight, all of a sudden they just toss fucking they go to I don't know, Bonner and Forrest, walk in there and just fucking toss it.
That's what I said for years, and no one has done it. I think Bellator tried, but I've said for years, if you took exactly what the WWE does, exactly what they do in every way, except make the fights real. So, you don't have to have signed characters. You just have to match them evenly. You can't have a guy that's a real fighter for CM Punk or something, but get a guy who's the character. If you told me if Ric Flair was actually going to fight Hulk Hogan, if there was going to be a real fight Saturday night, you wouldn't watch that? Two of them really fighting? So if they took the pageantry and the feuds and have them come out and talk shit to each other before, build it up just like they do on WWE, and then have them fight for real, even if the fight was terrible.
Yeah, but you would need writers, though, because those guys aren't coming up with them themselves a lot of them.
Yeah, well, or you'd have to have characters who came up with great ideas like me.
Well, I think they've tried to do that. It's one of the reasons that Conor McGregor blew up so hard, and why so many guys are trying to replicate it, is because they've always tried to create that vibe with the music and the walk-ins and the ring girls. I mean, they try and create that vibe as much as they can. But again, because it is real fighting, they don't script it. They don't give them writers. They don't want to distract from the real training, but I think to an extent they have tried, and I know Bellator has really tried to mimic that kind of energy, with their things. But, when you look at the names, everyone having a nickname and stuff like that, I think they've absolutely tried to do that. It's just when it's real fighting, you can only do it so much.
Some of the
I don't know if you remember All for All. We talked about that, I think, on here before, where they really had them box and do takedowns in WWE. It was real. They had WWE wrestlers actually box each other. It was terrible boxing, but it was
the worst. Yeah. They said it was the low point of. They said they actually it was
here's the problem. The real fighting is the problem.
Did you ever watch?
It's ruining the show.
Did you ever watch the Big Boss Man and Undertaker at his funeral?
Yeah.
That, Greg?
Did he drag away his casket or something?
No, I did not. I was never a fan of wrestling because to me it was so fake.
Hold on. You got to see this. I hope we don't get Joe might have to go back and edit.
I got to wind it up pretty soon, by the way. I got to
be careful. He's going to be the one driving the car, pulling somebody's casket, pulling Poirier's casket behind him.
Hello, beloved brand.
I watched that 100 times.
This is a very special edition of.
Hold on. Dude, that was come on, Greg. That is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Dude, they had 20th low points of WWE. At one point, man tells Undertaker that he's hopes that he's gonna have a biker gang rape his wife. Says that in the middle of Saturday morning.
Right.
Dude, it's a different time.
He knows how to build a fight. I'll tell you what, he knows how to hype a fight.
It's crazy. So all right, this week we have the PFL starting this Wednesday. Obviously, no one knows about it because it's Jeremy Stevens. He's fighting Clay Collard. Clay Collard's a guy who was he actually boxed, won a couple boxing fights. He beat Anthony Pettis. I thought he got robbed his last fight. He trains in his garage with his brothers or something. But so he's fighting Jeremy Stevens. I think Stevens is good for $1 million. Might be pretty motivated. Because this is going to be so he's fighting. Shoeface is fighting in Antonio Carlos Jr. He won $1 million last time. OAM is fighting Nathan Schultz. It's good. It's actually a pretty good card. Corey Hendricks is fighting. It's on ESPN Plus. Don Madge is fighting Roush Manfio. So that's this. That's PFL this week, this Wednesday. One championship. That's 4:30 in the morning on that's Friday. Jared Brooks, the Monkey God, is fighting. He's the guy that fought on your promotion, your pillow fight promotion.
Yeah.
He said he looked over and he saw what's his name was so disappointed. That guy that what's his name? The guy that always beat you and Matt Mitrione up.
Oh, Tom Erickson.
Yeah, he said Tom Erickson was so pissed off that he was there.
I'm sure.
Bellator this week. Liz Carmouche. She's I think she's a Marine. amazing fighter, tough, got like a 12-pack. Fighting Nikita Mikhailov. That's a guy. She's fighting Juliana Velasquez, who's 12-0. She's a badass. That's Bellator this week. That's on Friday. That's the main event. And then Saturday, more UFC. It's Jessica Andrade. She's the one who's like a mini Vanderlei Silva. She's a girl, fucking just comes at you, fights like she's fighting Amanda Lemos, who's also 11-1. Both those girls have knockout power. Clay Guida, who's now 37-21. He is fighting Claudio Puelos, who's 11-2.
His record sounds like a basketball team's record.
He's now got more fights on his record than he has hairs left on his head. He's got like 50 really long hairs left that he's holding on.
Macy Barber, she's the one. She lost to Roxanne Modifier, but she like blew her ACL, I think, in the first. But she was the one who was like a Gracie black belt online or something, and everyone got mad at her. She made like a course how to earn your purple belt online. But she's good though. She's fighting Montana De La Rosa.
Gary V teaching that? Is that who's offering him, that Gary V dude?
Michael Mano Cape is fighting Sue Madera. Mark Andre Baralt fighting the Beverly Hills Ninja. There was a boxing at the Hebrew Hammer. And then, who else is fighting? Arrow Quelling. He's the guy that what's they told to go back to China after he's like, I want to send him back to China, and then everyone got mad at him. The guy, but
everyone who had ever heard of him, which is like 14 people, because I've never heard of any of these guys you're talking about.
I was about to say, you're literally, listen, I'm going to watch these fights, but only because I'm recovering from a heart attack. Okay? If I had literally anything else to do, this wouldn't even be a fight night. This would just be a night.
Ike Villanova's fighting. He's lost the last 5 out of 6. He's lost 1, 2. His last win was against he lost the last 5 out of 6.
I love it when you keep describing it. It makes me want to watch it less.
He's fighting Tyson Pedro. And then Mike Jackson. He's the guy that beat CM Punk but got cut anyway because he said he wanted to torture him and not finish him. He's 1-1. Mike Jackson. He lost. He fought, what's his name? He fought Mickey Gall. And he was doing press for some like website, and then he lost and then went back to press row like 12 minutes later. He covered his own loss.
His name is Mike Jackson and his nickname is The Truth. This is not a good combo.
He was the one who I was talking about on Ariel Hawani's show. I was doing the McCorkle Minute. And I said, the last time I saw someone named Mike Jackson lay that many blows on a punk, like
there it is.
Neverland Ranch, it was brutal. So.
There it is.
And then
that's how he fell down into the bargain basement we call MMA Roast.
Okay, the grit, whatever, man. There's fucking gems here. Chris Cyborg is fighting Arlene Blenko. That's on Saturday night. Bellator is going to Hawaii for 2 nights. I guess they're just staying there.
They're hoping someone can catch either night, like watch a fight either night. Like we may do a Sunday show too. Who knows?
It's like what's his name's joke where he'd be like, "What time are the fights? What time can you get here?" Frazier Smith, the absolutely brilliant classic Frazier.
Did I ever tell you that whole Frazier Pete Rose story?
No.
All right, I told you, Sean, your story about Pete Rose,
about his baseball player.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're gonna
the gardener. Yes.
I don't, it could have been another fighter Adam was talking about. He's just putting 2 names together. Like
that's true. We have Mike Jackson. That's true, baby.
So I'm at the hosting the and there's like 9 people, the old right? And Frazier goes on and he does, does all these one-liners. He's like, that's like I was sweating like Pete Rose at whatever that like gambling place you can back in the day, you can go to gambling, whatever it was gambling. Pete Rose, I was sweating like, Michael Jackson at a whatever. I was sweating like, he does a whole thing like, so like Michael Jackson at Disneyland, and Pete Rose, and blah, blah. So then all of a sudden someone goes, hey, I don't appreciate that Pete Rose joke.
Oh yeah.
In the crowd, right? So then Frazier gets off stage and he's like, hey man, that's my dad, Pete Rose. There's like 8 people there. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, my name is Tyler Rose and my dad is Pete Rose. And I don't appreciate you. And like, but it was like, what are the chances that like Pete Rose's kid would be in the crowd and the comic would have a Pete Rose joke, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'm sorry. I was a big.
What are the chances anyone would be doing a Pete Rose joke? That's my
exactly.
That would surprise me.
The guy goes and sits down again, and I got on stage. And I was like, so I was fucking Pete Rose in the ass.
Oh my God.
And then I was
like, keep my dad's name out your fucking.
Yeah, exactly. This guy was huge. Anyway, all right. So that's our show today. Greg, what do you have coming up?
More recovery, more resting. So I'll be up on all the fights next week, just like this week.
McCorkle.
More resting and recovery, except I didn't have a heart attack, so I'm just doing the same thing I always do, just rest and recover.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yes. And then by the way, also in Bellator this week, this is actually a good Bellator card. Patchy Mix is a good fighter. He's fighting Hiraguchi. Justine Kish, she's a girl that shit herself in the octagon by accident. I mean, she was getting rear naked choked.
As opposed to that girl that did it on purpose.
Listen, and whatever it takes to get the win.
But then she tweeted, shit happens afterwards. It was kind of funny. And then Rufion Stotts fighting Juan Archuleta. He's a good dude. He was talking about he like was like went to jail and like was a good, like turned his life around. Really good guy. Has a hot wife too. And then
Daryl and I got it straightened out while they were in there. And
then the next week, Bubba Jenkins is fighting, by the way.
Yay, bad man Bubba, he's back.
And Yancy Madera is on this card too, which is good. And also Kai Kamaka.
2 fights after this card. Well, I guess just 2 nights. So that makes sense. All right.
It keeps going. Saturday night, this Friday and Saturday, I'm at Nate Jackson's Super Funny Comedy Club.
Awesome.
Nate Jackson, it's in Tacoma, Washington, this Friday and Saturday. If you're in Tacoma, come. Thank you guys so much. Take care. Enjoy your lives.